Welcome, everyone, to Well, That's Horrific, a podcast about anything and everything horror. I am your co host, Mr. S.
And I'm Tom Cruise.
And welcome to another episode. We want to thank you for being here. We appreciate you listening to our episode on whichever, podcast platform you're listening to. And thank you, if you are watching this on YouTube, we do post our episodes on YouTube every week. So thank you for being here. We appreciate it. This episode is going to be about Saw X. If you have listened to our previous episode, you understand that we were going to watch this film. It's something we've been talking about for quite some time. And we were going to go ahead and go into deep review. And so, without warning, without, without mentioning, we're going to go ahead and go into it with spoilers, obviously. So I just want to go ahead and really quick before I give it to Tommy, just want to go ahead and say it is October. It is October. When you're listening to this, it is October, obviously. A lot of things are happening. This is our time. This is our month. We want to kind of give you as many episodes as we possibly can, review as many movies, TV shows, whatever the main topic of discussion is going to be. We like to be a part of that, as well as kind of get your insights. So anything that you have to, tell us, again, you know where to find us, where to message us, and we more than are willing to kind of bring it here to the episode, to the podcast. So thank you again. Something to be aware of. Saw X, making a return, something we've been talking about for quite some time. I know that I, for one, was very skeptical about it. I don't like prequels and things of that nature. But it released September 29th, 2023. So far, opening weekend, it has made $18,300,000. And I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, it's already obviously doing, pretty well, but we'll talk about that a little bit more. Gonna pass it on to Mr. Tom Cruise here, and he's gonna give us a little bit more insight.
All right, so like you mentioned, Saw X. This is a sequel / prequel. What do we call this? Right, it's a prequel, but the title implies it's a sequel. It's weird.
Correct.
Right, so it's Saw 10 or Saw X,
but comes after Saw 1.
But it comes after Saw 1. So it's really Saw 1.5, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
The title was just because it's the 10th Saw movie, but even by that logic, you would be counting Spiral as a Saw movie.
Yes, I'm glad you just mentioned that.
Is it really? Yes. Is it really? We can have that debate. I guess let's dive right into it. I have the plot synopsis here. A sick and desperate John travels to Mexico for a risky and experimental medical procedure in hopes of a miracle cure for his cancer, only to discover the entire operation is a scam to defraud the most vulnerable. So we saw this in the trailer, and I spoke about it. I know you were a little bit skeptical, more so because it was a prequel. I was a little bit more skeptical, mostly because I didn't like, from the jump, I didn't like the fact that the trailers were doing a different angle here, right? They had a different angle approach for this. They were kind of making it so that John was kind of like the good guy. Yes, we know him as Jigsaw. We know what he ends up doing afterwards, and we know what he's already done because the events of Saw 1 have already happened. But the weird thing about this movie, and it's completely different in comparison to all the other Saw movies, is that it's shot in a way where, kind of make you feel bad for him, and he kind of has a reason to put all these people in traps in a way, right? Not that it's justified to kill people, but I guess this is the most justifiable it's ever been. Correct me if I'm wrong.
100% correct. 100% correct.
Just to touch up on something that you mentioned, you were talking about how much the movie's done. You said it's done very well, which I think it has. But believe it or not, it came in second to the Paw Patrol movie. The fucking Paw Patrol movie sold more than this. That is crazy. I just had to bring that up.
It's crazy because it's kids, man. Anything that's involved with kids, Super Mario, Fortnite, anything with kids in it, it just automatic win.
It seems to be the route to go if you want to make a lot of money. That's for sure. Yeah. But we got Tobin Bell coming back as John Kramer in this, and then this is not even a spoiler because it's even in the trailer. We have Sean Smith coming back as Amanda. Mm-hmm. Cecilia Peterson is played by Sinov Makati Lund, and then Parker Sears is played by Stephen Brand. Kind of, there's a few people that we might recognize from a couple movies, but from the most part, this cast is pretty new. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're good. Pretty new. I really wasn't familiar too familiar with the people, the cast there. Obviously, besides Tobin Bell and Shawnee there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty
and
new
then
cast.
directed by Kevin Greutert.
Gruden. I thought it was Gruden.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm bound to butcher something, right? But what do we know him from? He directed Saw 6, actually. So this is him coming back to the Saw franchise. He was an editor in one of the previous ones, and I think he was an editor in like 4, 5, 6, and even Jigsaw. And then he's coming back now to direct this one. So at least we have some sort of tie-in to the universe in terms of like the people who are making it. But I guess just to start, what did you think of, let's say, the first 30 minutes of this movie?
Slow.
Yeah.
I kept saying very slow. I think when we mentioned last week, we mentioned that there was a 8-minute clip showing the eye socket trap. And now, after seeing the film, I see why they went ahead and released it. It was because it was more of a thought, more than an actual trap itself. I get it. I thought it was cool. I thought the trap itself. Correct me if I'm wrong. Can you escape that by just like really closing your eyes pretty tight? Or
No, bro. It's sucking your eyes out of your head. No,
yeah,
bro.
okay. So it must be
think
really super suction over here.
yeah, I don't think closing your eyes is gonna do you any favors. But so the clip that you're talking about is, I mean, you could describe it. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, yeah. So like that was so it's like basically this guy that John Kramer is looking at. He's like, I think a nurse, not a nurse, but somebody who works in the hospital. He's taking care of a patient, and he kind of ends up going through his stuff and kind of looking to steal it. John Kramer looks at him, and then we automatically go to a a trap scene of that person that was stealing the patient's stuff, tied to a chair. Two tubes coming like on an X. I get it, Saw X.
The poster, basically, yeah.
The poster, basically, exactly. And it's coming, it's attached to his eyes. His hands are kind of... So what he has to do is, within a matter of 60 seconds, he has to kind of just break each of his fingers in one hand, because it's a tie to the actual patient who has issues with his hand.
Correct. Which, by the way...
Yeah,
I just want to say, isn't this like the easiest saw trap? I think breaking all my fingers.
I would say, bro, I was because I went to go watch it with my brother-in-law. I was thinking to myself, like, yo, I think I could do that, no problem. I mean, it hurts, like when it first clips.
100%. But I was like, why not just go straight to 6? Like, break all my fingers at once. You know how he does it one at a time, where it's like dial. I would like just spin that dial all the way to 6, break my hand, and let me go.
Yeah. So that's what we get in the first. I guess that was like the first 10 minutes, but the first 30 minutes was slow. And I say that because, not to be negative, it's just more of, again, this movie decides to go this route, this approach where we kind of go in John Kramer's POV and understand everything that he's been through. And they kind of make you root for him, obviously. They kind of make you, there's that emotional appeal is there in terms of his brain cancer and how he's going to get out of it. And he really wants to kind of, beat it. And we also have that 1 hour and 58-minute runtime with Saw X, which I think is the longest.
Correct. It is the longest runtime in any Saw movie. That is correct.
And I can see why. The way they approach that, again, the way they try to make... They're really trying to... I think what they're trying to do is bring you back into the original Saw franchise and kind of make you remember what, I guess, Jigsaw's, not motive, no, it could be motive, but his goals were and why he became, like, Jigsaw, for the most part. And I get it. It was different. It's there. We can all agree it's different from every Saw movie. So,
100%.
Interesting take that they decided to go that route.
Yeah, I think for me, it was more so like, I don't know. I was watching the movie, and even as I was in the movies, people were saying, like, this dude is, like, yeah, right. Like, every time he would say something that would, like, make him the good guy, everybody was like, this guy's, like, a serial killer. Like, this guy's crazy. Yeah. Like, there were people commenting on the fact that, like, he's literally the good guy in this movie, but not really, right? Like, we know that he's not a good guy.
But you root for him.
Yes, they make you root for him, right? They make you root for him even all the way. They basically make the do we even want to call him the antagonist of this movie? They make the characters of this movie so bad that, of course, you're bound to root for John in this case. So It's interesting. It's interesting. And then they bring back characters, and I think we could go ahead and say this now, but they bring back Amanda and they bring back Hoffman. And then Amanda, of course, you know, she's aged, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that one they couldn't play well. You know, Tobin Bell, he was already old, and you know he was playing an old character, so I feel like his character kind of gets away with it. But you can really tell, obviously, this is supposed to take place between 1 and 2, so they give Amanda that haircut. But you could tell that she's aged a lot since then.
Yeah, I think you could definitely tell. Not that it's so extreme, but it's definitely there. You can definitely tell. And for me, I'm glad she was there. I think, you know, her being there kind of put me back into Saw, like the actual first movie that I saw with her, and the second one, because she played a much bigger role in the second film. I think that was a good touch. You're right. I do think that because of the way she kind of looked, you understand that, okay, this is really, you know, a woman who's aged a little bit. But she was good. She was good. I think she got a lot more. You know, she's been in previous films before, but I guess she was, I don't want to say more involved, because like she started crying with Gabriella, and like she had a lot more dialogue than I had anticipated.
Correct. But I still think when it comes to this sort of situation, I honestly prefer if they didn't have her in the movie. And I'm not to say that she did a bad job, but I prefer when a character is like, when it looks this obvious to me, it takes me out of the movie. You know what I mean? It feels like almost like I'm watching a reenactment. And when I feel like I'm watching a reenactment, then I can't appreciate the movie. To me, I would have appreciated if they treated her character more like they did Hoffman, where like just show up in a scene and then keep it moving. Don't. Because once you have the character play such a big character, then like it becomes more jarring that this is an older person trying to play a younger person. A very valid point. And, you know, I guess you back it up, you know, pretty well. I respectfully am going to disagree. I think her being there, again, it brought me back to the original Saw films, and it felt like a Saw movie. Her being there also kind of, I don't know, like, once you know like what they're doing, like even though she aged, obviously, you kind of cross that out. You have your subconsciously, you kind of put that to the side, like, hey, I'm gonna watch this film for what they're trying to do. And then also at the same time, it's like, to have John Kramer do this all alone without reinforcement in Mexico, that wouldn't have been believable. Listen, honestly, it might have been more believable, or it might have even looked better if they would have just used Hoffman. I think he would have aged better. He aged better. But with that being said,
I'll be honest. I mean, end spoiler alert. You know, like end credit scene, like with Hoffman there. I don't know why, but I got happy. I was very happy. I was happy to see him. Like even when he was on the phone with him towards the end, where he's kind of talking to a detective. Like I already know who it was, you know. And then you see him, it's like, whoa, that's great.
Yeah. It was nice to see him. But again, to me, it's not that big of a deal. But it's just something personally that I don't like. Like, it bothered me a lot. For example, in It Chapter 2, when the kids had aged significantly from It Chapter 1. To me, it just kind of takes me out of the movie.
But they did look all like very like similar to each other. Each other's characters. I'll give you that.
Yeah. In terms of like the adult and the kids, but the kids themselves.
Yeah. One thing I want to mention, and you can tell me if I'm wrong or not. This is just my opinion. I think the reason why we root for John Kramer here is not because the Saw movie's back. I feel like a lot of people are just happy to see Saw back, and that's why I'm rooting for him. No, I think for me, they had to go to an extreme measure in terms of bringing in this doctor, Cecilia, what's her name? Yeah, Cecilia
Peterson.
Yeah, and like one thing that Saw has done, especially with Saw 6, is they've addressed issues regarding, doctors and the healthcare system. In this case, you have, somebody who's basically saying, hey, I can cure your cancer like I've done for all these other people, and then people who are in desperate need, give them all this money, and then at the end to find out that they were just a big, fake. It's been a whole scam the whole time. I think they had to go to that extreme measure for you to be like, shit, okay, John, kill them. Like legit, actually like kill them. I think because they did that was the only way that could have worked. I feel like no other approach would have worked.
But they went out of their way to come up with this sort of plot. Is what I'm trying to
They
say.
did.
Like,
Yeah.
But there's a couple things that this movie does differently. So not only is there that, obviously the way that it's shot, it starts off pretty slow in comparison to every other Saw movie that kind of just throws you in there. The way Tobin Bell or John Kramer is the main protagonist of this movie. He's never been really the main character of any other movie. And then the traps, right? The traps are different in this only because he's putting them on them, and there are a couple tapes, but a lot of them he's actually explaining right on the spot, and you can see Amanda setting them up. So it's a little different in that aspect, but I guess that goes to show that this movie takes place between 1 and 2. It didn't get as complete as the later Saw movies, where like he already had everything preset in advance for everything. If that makes sense.
That makes 100% sense. I'm gonna say something here, and I wonder what you think, and be honest with me. I think this could have been Saw 1. Like the first film. Like I could easily say, hey, you know what? This is the first Saw film. And the only reason why it probably doesn't work is because of the whole Dr. Gordon, full circle moment, from 1 to like 3D. But if Saw 1 was Saw 2 and this movie, Saw X10, is Saw 1, I really believe that could work. I think this could easily be the first Saw film because we learn about his disease. We learn about, he talks about his civil engineering and his architecture background, and like this would have been a great foundation for the movies coming forward.
Yeah, but it's weird. It's the problem with that is that between the first 2 or 3 movies, they retcon a whole bunch of the stuff, right? His motives change.
Right.
His motives go from being a cancer patient to he tried to commit suicide and he survived and it gave him purpose, to my wife was pregnant and her baby was killed.
Right, right.
And then these are all retcons in terms of the explanation. Or you can see it as like another revelation in each movie, but they weren't really planned very well in terms of explaining how he came to those conclusions or how he came to be the way he was. Originally, it was just he had cancer, and then if you go based off what you're saying, right? And I understand what you're saying, that this could be. I don't know if you're saying like this could have been the first Saw movie, or I don't know if you're saying this movie could have easily been. It's still Saw X, but it could have taken place before Saw 1. But
yeah, maybe a little bit of both. Obviously, because of the way the first Saw film happened, with the low budget and like the gore, that it was mostly gory than anything. It kind of obviously attracted a lot more viewers. That's why Saw 2 was the highest grossing Saw film. But I'm just saying, like, if someone wants to like look at this and be like, yo, you know what? I'm going to think of this as the first Saw film. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I'd be like, okay, you're right.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, technically, Jigsaw's the first Saw movie. Because remember, Jigsaw's trap takes place before the first.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not? Because technically,
to answer your question, they say 10 because they don't really count Jigsaw. No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking Spiral. I apologize. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Spiral. My fault. Oh.
No. So here's the interesting thing. Spiral takes place the latest chronologically, and Jigsaw takes place the earliest chronologically.
Yes.
Because so actually, Jigsaw takes place at 2 different time frames. Remember, so it's taking place concurrently with current killings. So one of them is in present time, the other one is in the past, and it's revealed in Jigsaw that he had a trap that he had worked on before all the rest, and then there was there was another person who had been helping him, which is a mechanic or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. That's the weird thing about Jigsaw. I think the conclusion and some of the laser stuff was what kind of killed Jigsaw for me, but I think. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things I did like about this movie. I did like the traps for the most part. The ending, the twist. I liked the twist. I don't know how you felt about it, but I liked a lot of the traps. I liked the. I don't even know what you call this. The wire.
Strong wire? That wire with the leg. You kind of have to like saw your way through your leg. Is that what you're talking about?
And then drain your bone marrow. That was fucking sick.
Yeah, I think. I don't know. For me, I think the gore factor. No, the gore factor is there, but like the feel, like I don't like. I was. Don't get me wrong. I was definitely like, shit. For me, the one that grossed me out the most was the skull one, the brain one, where he had to literally crack open his skull.
Okay,
and
that was
of his brain.
I like that trap too. That was
Mateo's trap. Mateo's trap.
Yeah, Mateo's. He had to do his own surgery.
Yeah, the other traps are really, really good. And I saw some people saying that this is the goriest Saw ever. I don't know. I have to sit down and really think about that and maybe debate
really
it a little bit.
It's really not.
The fact, like, it's definitely gross. It's definitely gory. But I don't know. I guess because I know it's CGI. Like, I don't know, man. I just sit there. I'm just like, oh.
I think what I think does it for me, and I don't know if this is what it is for you, but I feel like the stakes and the music and everything were way more intense in the original franchise. So whenever these sort of things happened, it was always like a crazy, like, it was music playing in the background, it was the Saw theme playing in the background.
Right.
They would do these crazy cuts that would happen really fast. I don't know if you remember.
Right.
And I think that added to the gore for me in the earlier Saw movies. I actually did rewatch 1, 2, and 3 and part of 4. I didn't get to finish 4, but if we're talking about gore, I still think some of the other traps are gorier. I mean, I was watching Saw 4 and I had to look away for certain scenes. Like,
that hair one for Saw 4 is one of my favorites.
The hair one, I looked away. I can't look at that one. I can't really look at it.
Shit.
But I still think the most vicious trap is Saw 3 with the twists. The arms,
at the end where his son's So no, again, I don't want to discredit this movie at all. Like, if you're listening to this podcast, this movie is very gory. Don't get me wrong, and they have some very clever traps. It's just for me, it's debatable to see if this is like the goriest film. So that's why I'm putting that out there. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess back in the day, they used material as opposed to CGI, which made it a little bit more real too, and that's what kind of, sells me. But yeah, I mean, I want to ask you a question about this Cecilia's character. The ending. Are you satisfied with the ending? Because, and also the question, I guess, is, does she live or does she die?
I think technically I guess the smoke runs out, right? Or the ventilation comes back and she's just stuck in the room. So she's just led to just die there, I guess.
I was trying to think about that myself. I was thinking maybe they both die anyway, but also Jigsaw wouldn't do that. Jigsaw likes to give people a chance. Then I was thinking to myself, okay, what if she's just trapped there until somebody obviously finds her, picks her up, and arrests her, all that case. But then I was seeing some people saying this is a setup for another sequel after this movie. And I'm just like, interesting. I don't know how they would incorporate her, but...
So we can get there, and I had a couple thoughts on this, but to me, I thought, again, I think I can see it this way, right? We have Jigsaw, we have Spiral from the Book of Saw, and we have Saw X. To me, these are 3 attempts of bringing back the Saw franchise, right?
Yes.
Jigsaw was strike 1. It was just, they try to force Tobin Bell come back and... introducing a new character apparently behind everything or help the whole time. And then there was lasers. It was a little too much. Spiral, we really don't even want to talk about that movie. And then we have this, right? This is a different take on the Saw franchise. But I think watching this, I kept on thinking the same thing. I was like, what is the purpose of this movie, right? If you're going to bring back the Saw franchise, you're not going to bring it back for just one movie, right? You're trying to, captivate the audience and you're trying to get them to like the movie, but you also have to leave the door open so that you can continue.
Right.
I didn't really think much about what's her name? That's characters.
Cecilia.
Cecilia's character staying alive, but to your point, that is a bit anticlimactic considering she was like the main bad guy, or they basically make her out to be the antagonist of this movie. Right. It is a little bit anticlimactic that she survived, so I do share some of the same feelings there. But I thought the whole setup was going to be with Carlos. I thought the whole thing. I promised you. I thought Carlos is a little kid. Once they introduced the little kid, once he came back at the end, which I thought was a nice full circle moment, and I thought it was a nice little twist because John didn't see that one coming. It was supposed to be him and Amanda strapped there. It wasn't supposed to be him and the kid. I thought this kid is going to end up living, and since he helped John Kramer, maybe he would be like the future. It would cut to like present time, and Carlos is behind it all, or something.
That's an interesting one, actually. That's
where I saw the opportunity because he was a kid, and we know this movie takes place in 2007 or something like that. Yeah. You would have to add a good 15 years or something, and then the kid, he would be 25 or whatever. Let's say he's 30, but he would be an adult, is my point. So that's that's the opportunity that I saw, and that's what I thought they were heading with it. But they didn't. The layup was set, and they didn't dunk. They didn't
Well, I
lay
mean, we
up.
don't know. Maybe the next
was an
film,
alley-oop there,
the opening scene can be him. You know.
Yeah, but you
never
would
know.
have. I know, but there should have been a door left open.
Yeah,
like,
I feel, or maybe like an end credit scene, like something to kind
Exactly.
of drag you or pull you. Yeah, I feel you.
there should have been something. If you were gonna go as far as to make a whole other movie, there's like no way you're gonna leave the door open. Like I don't know. But yeah, like the fact that Cecilia character's alive, that is very strange.
Yeah.
As much as he loves to give people chances, I don't know if her character should have survived, and I don't know how I feel about her coming back, especially after all of this. Like,
Yeah, I wouldn't want her back either. I think they did a good job of making her like the villain. In a villain versus villain, you really like go against her. And the thing that was interesting because she was like throughout the other traps, Mateo, Gabriella, all those people. She was like, do this, just do that. You have to do this. Like she was obviously, the smart one, but when it came to her, like even Piers was like, wait, then why were like there are two chains? Like who used like if it was meant for two, like why was it? Like she wasn't as inquisitive for her own trap. But the thing about that, which is I like that this movie did was, which is why I don't like prequels, is because I know what happens, right? I know they're gonna live. I know they're not gonna be in this trap and die. But I really was thinking to myself, what is going to happen? How are they going to get out of this? And that was something that I was really, proud of. And so that's what the movie gave us. It's like, you know what? We're going to kind of blow your mind a little bit. And the way they did it was in such a, jigsaw way. And then, the end when she grabs like the money, the fake money, and then like the lights go red and like the Saw theme comes. I'm like, shit, so good. And like, I think they did that really well. I got to give them credit for that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think to me it's just more so like between the ending and the fact that there wasn't a setup. I don't know if I want them to continue like with this sort of thing, especially if it's going to be another prequel, man. Like, what do you feel about them finding other gaps in these movies to keep on making them?
Yeah. So the thing about these Saw films is that they keep coming back. And I even think the director for Saw 3, I forgot what the tweet was. I don't know if it was the director or the writer. I will, fix that later. But they said they regret killing Jigsaw, Tobin Bell's, John Kramer in Saw 3. And which is interesting because for me, I don't think they should regret it because they always found a way to incorporate him in these Saw films. Mm-hmm. But now they're really trying really hard to kind of bring these films back, these Saw films back. I'll tell you what.
Tobin did carry a lot of these movies.
He did, absolutely, without question. His voice, his acting, like in terms of like his demeanor and being, John Kramer, is great. I didn't like Jigsaw. I didn't like Spiral. This Saw film I liked. I enjoyed it. I liked it. I would watch it again. Do you think it's the best one in the Saw franchise?
The best Saw movie in the Saw franchise?
Yeah.
Or no?
Yeah.
No, that's a fast no.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that this is the best Saw film, and I'm wondering if it's the people who are just like who think Saw is just known for being gory and they don't like it, but now that they see that there's some type of deep connection here or deep emotional appeal, that's like, it's a nice story. Yeah, it's the best Saw film. I would just say, give me time to process it. I gotta go through each Saw.
I'm gonna be way more bold here. Ready? Hot take. Nowhere near the best Saw movie. The Saw 1, 2, and 3 are better than this. There's no even comparison. I don't think. Call it a hot take if you want, but no, there's no fucking way this movie is better than Saw 1, 2, or 3, or even 4 for that matter. I'm posting this clip on
TikTok. I want everyone to see what you have to say.
Fuck out of here. There's no way this movie is better than Saw 1 through 4. There's no fucking way. First off, the first 30 minutes, you don't, there's no kill. It's a fucking. It's in his head. No, come on. They make you root for John, which I guess is different, but there's no way that you're going to tell me there's the slow start of this movie is going to tell you that it's one of the best Saw movies. It might be better than Jigsaw. It might be better than Spiral for sure, but there's no way I'm going to tell you it's better than Saw 1, 2, 3, or even 4, to be honest. I would probably put this as maybe top 5.
Yeah, I think I mean, I'm not as bold as you are. Again, like I'm going to put this up here. I want to see what people think of your hot take. But I think saying this is the greatest Saw film, I'm not saying it is or isn't. I'm probably leaning towards no, to be honest with you. But to say that kind of takes away every other Saw film, because what are you comparing it to? Because every other Saw film is different from this. You know, it's every Saw film is mysterious. Every Saw film has.
I
like,
literally had people leaving the theater saying this movie was whack as fuck. Like, people left my theater saying, I promise you. Like, I promise you. I'm not saying that it was, but I'm saying people left my theater saying the movie was bad. So, with that alone, there's no way I'm going to tell you that the movie was better than one of the best songs.
I'm gonna say something here real quick, because we are on Twitch. Every time we're streaming these episodes, we are on Twitch, and we have some viewers that tune in. I have someone here, GZDR4EV. I'm sorry if I'm not, saying your Twitch stream. Your Twitch username, right? But he said Cecilia is he or she. I apologize. Cecilia is a fraud. Her father is the real deal doctor. If there's another film, I see her helping John get to her father, who will help him. She lost all her money and her co-conspirators. It's her chance to do right. And then this person says, "No, Saw 3 is the best film." Thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, first off, I want to say Saw 3 is probably my favorite one of the entire franchise. Yeah. So I definitely agree. And I think that's actually a valid point. Her dad was apparently the real deal. If anything, a lot of horror franchise are being rebooted, or they're ignoring some of the other sequels, aka Halloween. Now they're doing the same thing with Exorcist. I think what that person said is actually a good opportunity. Let's say you ignore Saw. Well, you have to ignore Saw 3. Let's say you ignore literally Saw 3 through 7. You could have that doctor cure him from his fucking brain tumor somehow. I don't know. I might be getting ahead of myself.
No. I mean, you're making a valid point. We have another question here. I wonder why they made John Kramer give the bag of money to the kid instead of the next of kin to the victim's family. They did all the research and found the victims and how much money they gave her. That's a really good point. They showed her all the money that she kind of, scammed them out of. So why just give it to the kid? Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, that's a really good question. But you know what?
Well, John,
maybe because he's not all good,
Exactly. As I say, he can't be that good. You know what I mean? I was actually going to say the same exact thing. I was like,
he's not all good.
I guess in this movie he killed bad people, but how many good people did he actually kill? I know they try to justify it to a certain degree. Everybody had some sort of thing that they did bad to a certain extent in all the Saw movies, which I guess is what made it more interesting. But they couldn't have him, be out here giving donations.
Yeah, for real.
It's not donations; it's refunds, but still.
But I think that's really all I have for Saw. I would like to say this, that Saw 3D was an anticipated film. I think it had a lot of mixed reviews. For me, I just loved the Dr. Gordon theory. Like each movie, everybody was speculating, trying to find a way to kind of prove that theory to be true, and that's exactly what happened. I think for me that ending was chef's kiss.
Yeah,
but
I agree. But it's one of those things where you could kind of see it coming. It was kind of fan service to a certain degree.
It was a fan service to a certain degree because everybody was talking about it. I remember that, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like we can go ahead and talk about these movies another time. So all these Saw films and kind of compare them. We already did that in an episode, but this is a different edition. So yeah, I don't know if it's the greatest, but I do say that I did enjoy it. It was a different take, and I think this was the successful, what you call it, not rebirth, or attempt. It was a successful attempt to bring the franchise back because the previous two failed. And my rating, I'm going to give you my rating. Should I give you my rating? I'm going to give it a 7.5.
Okay, I was going to say 7 out of 10, yeah.
Yeah, 7.5, I would say out of 10. Again, it was
and that's me being generous.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm pretty firm on that. I don't know if I'm being generous. I think that's truly how I believe. I did, when I walked out the theater, I remember saying to myself, I did like it, but I also remember saying to myself, it's different, and because it's different, I really have to kind of understand the difference,
Yeah, 100%. I agree. I think because it was different, part of me didn't like that. Again, I said this from the moment we saw the trailers. I was already not really liking it from that, just from the angle that they were taking. But even with that, taking that into account that it was properly executed, I still think the movie had a bit of a slow start. So I have to just say, like, for me, that was a bit of a bummer. Like, 30 minutes in, it's when you finally start to get into some traps, or probably a little bit more. But
yeah, well. That was Saw 10, everybody. As always, please let us know what you think, what your rating is, what your insights to this film is, and we would be more than happy to share it here. We will be moving on now to our next topic. Tommy, can I introduce to you the next topic? Something that
yes,
you and I haven't had a chance to talk about yet, but obviously we knew this was up in the air. Where is this Halloween franchise going? Who is going to get the rights to Michael Myers? This is something that I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel. What we're going to say here is this. Currently, Malek Akkad is shopping the rights for film and TV. Trancast International is currently who has the right to Michael Myers Halloween franchise, but Miramax is a co-owner in terms of the movie rights. Now there's currently a bidding war that's going on between A24 and Paramount, and I believe Miramax, if I'm not mistaken, Miramax as well. A24, from last I read, is currently in the lead to obtain this. Paramount apparently wants to make it a television series, and they want to make it a television series to kind of go off of Halloween 3 Season of the Witch and continue that anthropology.
So it'd be an anthology series, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Go ahead. I'm going to let you talk, and I'm going to let myself talk after the fact. Yeah,
I think the difficulty here is, what do you do with Michael, right? It's already been some time. And the struggle is, like, Michael's still in everybody's minds. It's, he's already old. If you try to continue it based off, like, the current timeline, do you want to do another reboot and ignore the other reboot? So they're not sure what they want to do. And that's what you get to talk of, like, all right, let's do some sort of Season of the Witch sort of thing. It's interesting, especially with A24 in the run, because I think they're the ones that have the rights to Jason as well, or they have the rights to Friday the 13th, and they're making a TV series out of them. So it's interesting. Everything seems to be coming to TV. I don't know. I don't know. I think I gave some ideas of what I think they should do, but even then, I think it's pretty bold, and I don't know what's the best route to take. I think the best thing to do right now is just to let Michael take a rest for a little bit and let people forget about him, and then bring him back a different way.
Yeah, I think. Okay, I'm going to read something. Tommy and I have discussed this a little bit, not too much in detail about where we want this franchise to go in a previous episode. I'm going to read something from you. Paramount is extremely interested in the Halloween property and seems to be leading the bidding war. So it's Paramount. Malek Akkad's top priority for the franchise is reportedly a television show set in the same universe as Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. The series would be a 6-episode long season. Now, here's my thing. Season of the Witch. Great movie. Nothing bad. I mean, not nothing bad, but I don't have a problem with it. I would watch it again. It's great, cool.
I actually think it's a good movie.
Oh, yeah, it's a good movie. A really good movie.
It's just not a Michael Myers movie.
31 Days to Halloween.
Okay. It's just not a Michael Myers movie. It's
not a Michael Myers movie. But you can't promote this and say one thing's for sure, Michael Myers is going to be back, and then do that. Because I don't like that. And the reason why I don't like television series too, don't get me wrong, I think it will be good, but now you're using Halloween's name to give something for you to kind of just run away with. And I'm not with that. I don't support that. I don't want that. I don't want a television series. Like, I'm sorry. You say it's too soon for Michael. I say it's not. I say it's already been a year. No, hasn't been a year.
Well, how do you bring him back is my question, right? Because you either keep the same timeline or you reboot it. And it's still, like, those are the only options.
But those are the only options. But the reason why, this is why I'm hesitant. I'm hesitant because if they bring Michael back and they do a television series with it, they're gonna make up their own BS. It's gonna be one of those films or I'm sorry, one of those TV series that is like a Jason Lives type thing. Like Michael comes back by a lightning. Like I don't like that because
Listen,
then they're gonna.
first off, you gave the worst possible example because that is the fucking best movie in the franchise. Want to say that. Jason Lives is the best Friday the 13th movie, so that's a terrible example.
Okay.
But
I don't know. Yeah, a lot of people like it. I like it too. I'm not saying that, but what I'm trying to say is when you think of Michael Myers, you don't think that. Jason,
but
Friday the 13th has established its weird scenarios in terms of bringing Jason back and how he looks and all that stuff and telekinesis.
I was just talking about this with my brother. I really think that again we're going off track here, but I really think Michael was best when he was human, and Jason is best when he's fucking a zombie. I don't know when he's a zombie. Because after 6, he turns into a zombie, and Michael, he was good in 2019, and then in fucking Kills, they make him supernatural, and then the other ones when they make him supernatural. It's weird. I say this all to say, the problem with, I think, personally, hear me out on this.
I'm hearing.
I think best case scenario is they do the TV show. The best case scenario is they do the TV show, and they keep it in the Season of the Witch universe, and they don't use Michael. I think they do. I think they should not use Michael. I think they stick to the original plan that they wanted to do, and you make every episode about its own unique thing. You could kind of make it like Trick or Treat or something like that, where like it's like different stories, and one could be vampires, one could be werewolves. You could do something like that. Mm-hmm. But I think you don't use Michael because I personally think that right now the options aren't good, and I think because it's too soon to reboot, but it's also weird to continue down the same timeline where he's an old man at this point, right? Like, I don't know. I think best case scenario is you make this TV show, you make your 6 episodes, however long you make it, and then you come back to making Michael because you still have plenty of time, right? If the TV show comes out, let's say 2 years from now or a year from now, you can still do Michael after that. I don't think. I mean, it depends on who has the rights, but what I'm saying is like it could still be done. I think it's a well-earned break for Michael. I think the man needs to take a rest, and then they need to come up with a better idea or I don't know, a way to bring him back that's not like him still 70 years old killing people.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, I think that's the unfortunate truth here is that no matter how they bring Michael back, there's going to be some type of, I guess, weird scenario where Michael is brought back, and it's just going to be like, hey, listen, you got to accept it for what it is, and I'm not ready for that, to be honest with you. So maybe you are right. Maybe it's a little too early for that, and let Michael rest a little bit. But I'm also not in favor of them doing a television series just to do it, just to make money. Like, I don't understand the reason for it.
I guess my argument there is it could still be a good franchise. I mean, it could still be a good TV show, even if it has nothing to do with Michael. The only thing that they technically be doing is just using the title Halloween, which, again, it's a holiday. It doesn't necessarily mean anything, right? So, I know,
but the thing is, like, Halloween is associated with Michael Myers. I don't see it kind of being associated with anything else. I know that, John Carpenter originally wanted to do this type of series, everything different. But look how that worked out for him. It didn't work out for him. So then what he had to do, he had to sell it. He had to sell it, and then that's why Halloween 4, 5, and 6, they were, not the greatest of movies, but people kept coming back. They kept making money, and obviously but it's hard. I think the predicament that they are in is very like it's tough. And by the way, A24 seems to be in the lead right now, and I trust A24. I really do. I like A24. It's kind of, look what they're doing now with the sequel to Talk to Me. So I think they're moving fast, but.
Here, so
having Michael be written off is crazy to me. Having him being brought back right now is also crazy to me. I think we're stuck in this thing because of how it ended. And if Michael is brought back, it's going to be some absurd storyline. And I'm not a writer. I don't sit down and like hours for the day and write this shit out. So I don't know. But I don't know. You bring back Halloween 3 Season of Witch, do a franchise with them, do it. I liked Halloween 3. I really did. I don't know. It's tough. It's a very tough spot.
But I don't think writing him out means anything. Like, the way I see it is like they're just making a TV show series about things that are related to Halloween, creatures, monsters, whatever, and it's just titled Halloween. Like, the most they'll do is they'll reference the fact that it takes place in Haddonfield. I don't know if they use.
But that's
Michael,
why Halloween Ends
No.
was so fucking stupid. Because if they never did that Corey Cunningham bullshit, they could have used that to make a television series and made him a copycat killer. But now they did that and it ended like shit. And now look at the predicament that we're in.
Listen, either way, if the other option would be that it would be somebody else under the mask, right? You don't want that. You wouldn't want. You want Michael.
I don't want
you
that.
You want 80-year-old Michael in a wheelchair killing people. That's what you want.
Nah, I don't
That's
want
what it comes
that.
down to. That's what the fuck you want. But listen, listen. I want to throw it to you. I have a theory, not a theory. I have my own, I guess, best case scenario. What is your best case scenario? Let's play a game here. Let's play a game to honor my man John Kramer. I want to play a game. Malik Akkad gave you the rights to Halloween. Mm-hmm. He said, "Here, Mr. S, since you know what to do here, and since you're part of this great podcast."
But I said I didn't though.
No, since you're part of this great podcast, I'm gonna let you make all the decisions here. He gives you the rights. What do you do? What do you do?
What do I do? It's tough. I just said I'm not a writer. You know what I'm saying?
I know, but
what I
you
do,
can't
what I
critique-
know what
you
not
can't
to do.
critique it and
I know
not
what
have
not
an-
to do.
Okay.
I know what not to do. And what I'm not going to do is have Michael revive from that shredded shit and make him like.
No. They're
Like,
not
you
gonna
know-
continue that. There's no way they can continue that. I think
That's
they
fine.
did that on
Well,
purpose.
that's what I'm saying. That's something I would not do. What I wouldn't do either is use the name Halloween and have no connection to it. Even if it's something like you know Halloween 3 when they're in the bar and then they see like the trailer to Halloween. I thought that was an interesting touch to it, but like I want something where it's within the same universe. Story Haddonfield is mentioned, something like that. But at the same time, I think Michael's, I guess, presence or like obviously his history plays a role in it. There's something there we didn't know. Again, this is all speculation, conjecture, whatever the hell you want to call it. But killing off Michael completely is not an answer for me, and then bringing him back in some crazy way is not an answer for me either. I know I'm being picky. I'm trying to be a fan, but I'm also trying to be smart. I don't know.
Okay, so
Patience Day.
I'm reading
I'll have
something.
killed someone. I don't know what that means, but
Yeah. I'm reading here the chat, right? So this is the same person who commented earlier. They said, in the opening scene of Halloween 2018, Michael was standing in the yard with his back turned, and there were 10 other insane patients there. This is how you think they could move forward. This is how I think they could move forward. Tell the story of those other patients, and that patients, they all have killed someone. So basically, you could continue it with not Michael Myers and just other people.
okay, I'm with that. I am with that 100%. But then you can't call it Halloween.
But it's in the same universe.
But if it's in the same universe, do you need the rights? I don't know. I'm trying to think here. If you need the rights, that means you need the rights to something. What do you need the rights from? Halloween, the title, Michael Myers' character. What do you need the rights from?
It's everything. It's the title. It could also be the city of Haddonfield.
True.
It could also be the character of Michael Myers. So I don't know. That's an idea. But I really want to ask you. You didn't answer the question. I want to know, what do you do if they give you the rights? What do you do? Do you sit on it?
Okay. I sit down and brainstorm.
Okay, so the answer you're giving me is you sit down and you wait another 2-3 years till you come up with something. So you get no content. So by that same logic, wouldn't it make sense to just bring out a TV show that has to do with Halloween while you think of what to do with Michael? So while you're thinking, I don't know what to do with Michael Myers right now, let me just make this series about Halloween in general, like witches, whatever, while I think of what I'm doing with Michael Myers. Isn't that like you're making money, right?
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, but also I also said to like kind of keep Michael low right now, low key. You know what I'm saying? We just
but he's not in the movie. He's not in the movie. If anything, he's not in the TV show. If anything, you're keeping him low, but you're keeping people intrigued because you're still creating something in the same universe, right? And you could be very careful to mention him, but also not connect him to any of the current Halloween universes. So you could do something where it doesn't connect to Halloween 2018, but it also doesn't connect to the original Halloween or any of the other Halloween universe, but it still kind of takes place in Haddonfield. So you don't know really what Haddonfield this is, sort of thing. Kind of leave the door open to be set up for pretty much any sort of Halloween movie. Like you could connect it to anything, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it as. Did you ever watch? I could give you the perfect example. Did you ever watch the Daredevil TV show on
No, I
on
didn't.
Netflix?
I didn't.
What about Luke Cage or
No.
any
I
of
know
them?
what
Okay,
I know
well,
what they are, but no, I didn't watch them.
so in those TV shows, right? When they made those shows, they weren't in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So what they did is they did enough referencing and mentioning of characters that it just led you to believe that it was in the same universe, but they never really confirmed or showed anything, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it kind of just gives you that idea that it could possibly exist.
I think for me, and I know we're spending some time on this because it is obviously my favorite horror franchise. So it's like I really am invested in it. But for me, what I would do if they didn't do ends the way they did it is have a copycat killer. That would be mine. My first initial thought is to have a copycat killer. I'm gonna read just a couple of comments on Twitter and let me know what you think. I just like some blunt responses. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
They asked what more can be done with it. Someone wrote, an anthology series sounds like a good idea. Okay, that's what somebody says. And then someone wrote, go in the way Scream did. Now that the OG is dead, copycats can take over. That's what I literally just said. No, I don't want that. Somebody wrote, blah, blah, blah. A TV series is the downfall for any franchise. Just saying.
I kind of agree. Look at Chucky. You're the one that likes that series.
Absolutely. I mean, Chucky's fun, though. I know Chucky's fun.
Fuck that.
Someone wrote,
The first season was fun.
I'm gonna call you G. I'm sorry, GZD. I don't know what else to call you. He said you need the title. Like we are getting another Exorcist movie where there are two possessed girls. Yes, their names are not the same as the other, like Linda Blair character. Yes, but Linda Blair is mentioned. Like I mean, what you call it?
But you could do the same thing. You can mention Michael Myers.
Reagan in the trailer. She's like,
yeah.
"Are you looking for Reagan?" So that's what I'm saying. Someone wrote, please let the franchise rest. There's no more damage that can be done after Halloween ends. A season of the witch-style anthology is the only right way to do this. I'm for it. I'm just not crazy about it. I'll be honest with you.
Okay, can I give you my hot take, right? Ready?
Okay.
We could clip this, I'm
clipping it right now. Tommy's hot take number 5. Here we go.
I said this before. I just want to rehash. Shout out to Danielle Harris.
Yes. I actually like this one. What you're about to say. I like it.
Yeah, I think the way you continue this is you give her the proper sequel that she deserved. Instead of her being in this remake of Halloween, the Rob Zombie one, she never got to play the adult Jamie that she could have played. She wasn't in Halloween 6. They recasted her just to kill her and do this weird thing. I say you completely ignore 5, and let's continue off Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. I think there's a lot of things you can do there.
Wait, see, you're bringing back Michael though.
Here's the thing, though.
In a different timeline. I know.
Yes. No.
I know.
Yes. But here's where it gets interesting, right? You have a couple options, right? You either continue the same timeline, right? Well, I guess the way I'm thinking it is she can't be a kid anymore because it'll be still Danielle Harris playing her. So
what is it, 1988? So it can be, what, like 30... No. 35 years later.
Either way, so I guess there is a time frame there where it could still take place. What is it, in the 90s or whatever, and have Michael not be too old. But I think if you wanted to make it present time, you could. If you could somehow make it so that, remember at the end of Halloween 4, Jamie kills her mother, or she stabs her mother with a scissor, but you don't find out till Halloween 5 that her mother survived. Right. So you can basically recreate the beginning of Halloween just off the ending there, where she killed her mother, and then they put her in an asylum. And then you could pretty much recreate the beginning of Halloween. You could either have it so that Jamie's the one that escaped somehow, or you could reintroduce Michael to the story. I'm just saying, if you wanted to do something different, technically you can make Jamie the killers. But I don't know. If you wanted to bring back Michael, you can. There might be a time frame there where he's not too old. But I think the best thing you can do, or the only thing that I think is viable, and the only sequel that I think could make sense, is continuing off Halloween 4. I don't think continuing off any other movie really makes sense.
Alrighty. I think we touched on that a little bit enough. I think we have to have a whole episode dedicated to this, to be quite honest with you. But yes, those are our thoughts. Let us know your thoughts. One more.
I just want to say one thing. Yeah. G just mentioned it. He says, "Would you be up for a total reboot of Halloween with a female killer instead?"
Yeah, there you go. Friday the 13th Part 1, right? Jason's mother was the killer the whole time. I don't know. I mean, if
Jamie
it
could be the
works,
killer.
yes. Huh?
Jamie could be the killer.
Jamie could be the killer. Absolutely. It's kind of like what you said. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if it works, absolutely. I don't see why not. We can't do that. But interesting. I guess
Listen.
time will tell. I guess time will tell.
That's the route that I would go. Shout out to Daniel Harris. That's all I'll say.
That being said, I think we're gonna sign off a little bit, but quick things to remember. October 4th, when you're listening to this, Chucky is season 3 is out. So make sure that you don't forget about Chucky. Next week's episode, Tommy and I are going to review The Exorcist Believer.
Yes.
Now,
Correct.
Exorcist Believer comes out October 6th. So if you haven't, circled it, because obviously
I'm excited for
it
this
was
one.
pushed
It's
up a
creepy.
week. Yep, it was pushed up a week. I'm excited for this too. Can't wait to chat about that. Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting episode.
It's gonna be a bit of a special episode for you guys next week.
Yes.
I won't spoil anything,
special episode next
but
week.
it will be a special episode.
Yes, this episode is going to come out on Tuesday. Just letting you guys know, because I'm going away this weekend to Salem, and it's the best time to go, and I've never been, and I'm very happy about that. So on Tuesday you will be listening to our new episode. So Monday, like G is over here, and let us let us be involved with you, kind of join us there. But I really don't have much else to say, Tommy, unless you have something to add real quick. Also, happy birthday, Nev Campbell. It's her birthday. So yeah, just wanted to shout out.
Yes, happy birthday, Nev Campbell. Nothing on my end. I feel like we've touched on a lot of horror news recently. Been watching a lot of scary movies. It's October. Spooky season is among us. And we'll keep talking about this. Like you mentioned, next week's episode would be on Exorcist, and I'm very excited.
Wait, yes, very excited. What Tommy just said. Actually, I want to show you my costume.
You're gonna spoil it for us already? All right, let's do it.
You want me to spoil it? I want your live thought right here. Okay, give me like 2 seconds. All right, you.
All right, guys.
Pamper. All right, well, hold up.
All right, guys. Well, he took a little break here. I just want to say, out of all the Saw movies, I think this, again, it's different, but it's not my favorite. I don't think it's the worst. Don't get me wrong. I still think it's probably top 5, but it's not my favorite. Ooh.
What do you think? Wait, ready? Watch this.
I think you should add some blood.
What'd you say?
I think you should add some blood.
I should
Add
right?
some
I
more
definitely
red.
should. Yeah, definitely should, for sure.
It's pretty cool.
But I thought I'd share it with everybody here, so you can sign us off now.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to this episode. Follow us on all social media platforms, on Twitch, on Instagram at Well That's Horrific, Twitter at That's Horrific, or X at That's Horrific. Because if you don't,
Well, that's horrific. Peace.
peace.